This is Newsfirst Prime Time News coming to you live on MTV Sports and Shakti TV. A very good evening to you. I am Shahin Jurangpati.
And I am Ratnasekara. First up, a look at your headlines.
Trade agreements worth $5 billion signed during the Chinese president's visit. Accident in Bandarawala claims the life of one person and injures 24, including UPFA over PC candidate Sendil Thondaman. Campaigning for over PC polls to conclude at midnight. Electricity bills to be calculated in line with reduced tariffs in 2 weeks. A statement from the CEB. Sarath Fonseca, confident of forming a government in 2015.
In your top story tonight, the government says that Sri Lanka signed a number of trade agreements worth nearly $5 billion during Chinese President Xi Jinping's visit to Sri Lanka. Chinese President Xi Jinping left Sri Lanka today, concluding his official visit to the country.
The Colombo Port City project was launched by Chinese President Xi Jinping and President Mahinda Rajapaksa at a grand ceremony this morning. President Rajapaksa and President Xi visited the Colombo International Container Terminal and inspected the development taking place from the open-air upper terrace. The Colombo Port City is a proposed offshore city in Colombo, which will see almost 233 hectares of sea area filled with land. 170 hectares of land have been identified as land that can be developed, while the remaining 63 hectares will be left for common amenities and parks. China has made an investment of $1,337 million for this project. 70% of the total cost is to be claimed as a cash loan from the project proposer. The port city will comprise of sports complexes, housing and office complexes, luxury hotels and many other modern facilities. Meanwhile, President Mahinda Rajapaksa and First Lady Shuranti Rajapaksa hosted the visiting Chinese president and his wife for dinner last night. President Xi Jinping and his delegation left the island this morning, concluding a two-day official state visit. One person was killed and 24 others were injured in a motor accident this evening. UPFA Uva Provincial Council candidate Sendil Thondaman was among the injured. According to police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rona, the accident had taken place while the candidate was engaging in election propaganda activities. Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rona noted that the driver connected to the accident had fled the location, adding that investigations have been launched to arrest him.
Newsfirst Zulfiq Farzan joins us now from the election headquarters with the latest from the run-up to the Uva Provincial Council poll.
Campaigning for the Uva Provincial Council election concludes at midnight today. Speaking to Newsfirst, Additional Elections Commissioner RMAL Ratnaika said that if a candidate engages in campaigning after midnight, it will be considered as a punishable offence. Now, according to Ratnaika, all banners, cutouts, posters need to be removed by midnight today. Now, on the run-up to the polls, the Elections Secretariat has received 246 complaints. Now, Newsfirst Vanushka Lakmal Kirinigala from the Uva Election Bureau filed this report on the situation in Monaragala.
Newsfirst overකාරංශය අප අද මොනරාගල දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ මැතිවන සූදානම්ක පිළිබඳව සොයා බැලුවා. එදී විශේෂයෙන්ම කිව යුතුයි
The Newsfirst Uva Election Bureau kept a close eye on the preparations that were taking place in the Monaragala district today as well. Since all election campaign activity will not be allowed from midnight today, all parties were in full swing in terms of their propaganda for the elections. We also saw in several places how preparations were underway to put up polling centres. The registration of vehicles also took place at Mahanam College and Royal College in Monaragala. Moreover, security was beefed up in the Monaragala district with the addition of police personnel and police STF personnel. This was the situation that prevailed in the Monaragala district today.
The distribution of the drought relief package worth 2,500 rupees, which commenced in the Monragala district last night, continued through to midnight. 8 packages were also distributed at the Bibila Divisional Secretariat last night.
These officials, without any food or water, tirelessly distributed 8 packages to everyone, putting aside all political differences. It would be better if they gave around 5,000 rupees extra.
An individual who attempted to secure electricity supply for a Grama Niladhari office for the distribution of 8 packages in Horombu of Monragala yesterday was electrocuted. Our reporter says the victim is receiving treatment at the Monragala District Hospital.
There were 300 people more to receive the aid package. Everyone wanted to get the money. So when this was being arranged by all people, a wire fell onto the high tension line. It was then that the individual got electrocuted.
People in the Madurukati area who are hoping to receive the 2,500 rupee drought relief package were left disappointed today as the responsible officials did not turn up.
The people have been told that the aid package will be given from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. today. I got the number 134. Those who jumped the queue got the package and we didn't. We were in line according to the number given to us. There was no order here. Those who wanted just took the packages and left.
Well, the Uva province will go to polls on Saturday, and Newsfirst Amarashri Bandara filed this report from the Badula district for the Newsfirst Election Bureau.
Today is the final day to conduct any kind of campaign activity for the Uva election, so several teams were seen in the Badula district engaging in propaganda activity. Some of the main parties also held rallies in the district today. We were also able to see how a special police presence had been added for security in the district. Members of the armed forces were also deployed to certain areas to ensure that peace was maintained. An important point that needs to be mentioned is that from what we have witnessed over the past several days, there seems to be a sudden surge in development activity in certain areas. While moving around the district, we saw in villages and in certain cities how the development of roads was taking place. Moreover, a round of broad discussions on the future course of action that needs to be taken for the election was to be held today, presided by the district returning officer.
The Newsfirst election headquarters will be closely monitoring the ground situation in the Uva province on the run up to the polls and even after the polls. Be informed. Stay with Newsfirst.
Well, the UPFA's final election rally in the Badula district took place this evening in Mahiangania. The rally was presided by President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
අපි ගමේ මිනිස්සු පිට මිනිස්සු නෙවෙයි පිටස්තරයෝ නෙවෙයි ඉතින්
We are people from the village. We are not outsiders. By staying here, we have achieved something. We have built the roads. We built the water schemes. You need not be digging holes to find water anymore. I will put a stop to that. Tap water will be provided to 70,000 people. Has work commenced? Work has commenced. The same goes for the West.
The Democratic Party leader Sarath Fonseca says he will establish a government in 2015. Fonseca made this statement on the face-to-face program telecast on our sister channel, Sirasa TV, last night.
You say you will topple the government in 2015. That's less than a year away. Will the Democratic Party do this alone?
No, we cannot do it alone. As I have said before, we will be a main stakeholder in that process.
Who are the partners?
All the powerful parties in the opposition at present, parties which have the blessing of the people and can exert some influence, not the three-wheel party.
You say you will topple the government in 2015. That's less than a year away. Will the Democratic Party do this alone? Who are the partners? In order to bring about this change, you will have to join with either the JVP or the UNP or both, if you are invited.
The opposition parties are not unable to form a government together. We are not speaking of forming an alliance. At the present moment, we do not approve of this, but there is the ability to defeat the government collectively and form a government. For example, if we had 4 more seats in the Western Province, we could have formed a government. At that time, the UNP, JVP and Democratic Party will have to unite. That cannot happen. The parties must act responsibly to prevent that. We will have to answer to the people.
United National Party parliamentarian Sajid Premadasa expressed the following views at a party meeting in Monragala yesterday.
At this moment, I would like to mention that when we win the Badul and Monragala districts at the Uva Provincial Council election, and when we steer Ranil Wickremesinghe to the president's seat, Little Premadasa will take up the responsibility of creating houses for the 1.5 million people without any shelter in the country. Faced with defeat, they are now giving away 2,500 rupee gifts. I don't think that the people of the Monragala district will become slaves because of this. Back then, a family that received 2,500 rupees under the Janasavya program received it monthly and not only during the elections. 2,500 rupees was given for 24 months. A bag of goods worth 1,458 rupees was given. Through the 25,000 rupee allowance scheme, 458 rupees was made as an investment. 250 rupees was given monthly. Today they are giving only a pittance through the Samurdhi. Today we are in 2014. How much is the Samurdhi allowance? 155 rupees, 200 rupees, 300, 400, 500 or a maximum of 800 rupees. That is the maximum amount you will receive. This is a pittance.
JVP leader Andra Kumara Dissanayake attended his final campaigning rally on the Uva Provincial Council election trial yesterday in Velekade, Badulla.
They are trying to save the votes in the estates using Thondaman. Thondaman's politics is to establish bars all over the estates. The Thondamans and Digambarams give the people liquor to drink, give them some food when the election comes around, and then after the election they go to India. They send their children and their spouses to India. They buy homes in India, and they take the people from one tragedy to the next. That is what Comrade Ramalingam has said. Therefore, Thondaman staged a demonstration in Nuvarelia yesterday. We wish to ask Thondaman this. The Tamil people in the estates do not have a proper place to live. Did he even stage one protest demanding 10 purses from each estate? Did the Thondaman stage even one protest demanding facilities for the people living in the estates? Thondaman should know that while he was living in luxury, it was Ramalingam Chandrasekharan from the JVP that fought for the rights of the Tamil people in the estates. This government is engaging in such false activities today. Why is that? Because this government does not have a response. They closed the city of Colombo for 10 days. Why? To have races. In which country in this world do they close the capital to hold races? We wish to ask the mothers and fathers in Badulla if the main problem their children is facing is that they are unable to drive in motor races. Is it that they do not have night races? In 2012, they used 150,000 sandbags for these races. Each sandbag cost 465 rupees. The sandbags alone cost 71.5 million. The rulers of this country should be ashamed when looking at the crimes they have committed.
Night race නැති එකද 2012 අවුරුද්දේ ඔය රේස් එකට ගැව්වා වැලිකොට්ට ලක්ෂ 1.5ක් එක වැලිකොට්ටයකට ගියා රුපියල් 465ක් වැලිකොට්ට විතරක් ගැව්වා රුපියල් ලක්ෂ 715ක ලැජ්ජයි දෙන්න ඕන මෙරට පාලකයන්ට මේක අපරාධවලට.
Meanwhile, UNP Uva Chief Ministerial candidate Harin Fernando says that the government is preparing for a large-scale election fraud.
The government is preparing to engage in a massive election fraud campaign. Why? Because according to reports, the current chief minister is expected to come in third on the preferential list. We have doubts that a massive campaign will be launched from within the Kutch area. The election secretariat has issued a new notice and called on the media to refrain from covering events here. They have instructed media to obtain the details via email and websites. We have great doubt about all this. Before Harin Fernando is elected the chief minister, they reduced electricity tariffs by 25%. They reduced kerosene by 20 rupees. Who is this aimed at? the people in the estate sector. They have reduced prices of petrol and diesel. By doing this, they are trying to make the people believe that the government will provide relief to them. However, I strongly believe that the people have already made up their minds on what decision they must take.
මං විශ්වාස කරනවා ඒ වගේම දැඩිසේ කියනවා මේ වෙනකොට ජනතාව තීන්දුව කරලා අමාරයි ඔවුන්ගේ.
Welcome back. The United People's Freedom Alliance says that it will work to ensure that the people are given a respectable election.
Just as we continuously guaranteed, the United People's Freedom Alliance will secure a resounding victory. The election is in 2 districts and 12 electorates. No matter what sort of allegations are made, we will provide a respectable election for the people.
A public rally was held in Bandaravilla yesterday under the auspices of Democratic Party leader Sarath Fonseca.
The people of the Uwavellasa can sense when the country is going to face trouble and can sense when the country is going to face bad luck. Your ancestors are people who have made sacrifices for the nation that cannot be praised in words. You have gathered here because you have inherited their might and because you are ready to make sacrifices for the nation. Your presence tells us that you love the nation. We met brave people like you everywhere. Within 4 months after our party was created, we faced the Central and Northwestern Provincial Council polls. The people didn't even know the name of our party then.
මාස 4ක් ඇතුළත තමයි අපි මධ්‍යම සහ වයඹ පළාත් නැතිවරණ වලට ගියේ. පක්ෂයේ නමවත් ජනතාව දැනගෙන හිටියේ නැහැ.
මතක තියාගන්න මේ ගමනට අපට ලොකු ශක්තියක්.
Keep in mind that you are the strength behind this journey. Don't forget to take use of this great opportunity you have been given on the 20th of September. If you miss this opportunity, you will never be able to raise your head again. We will win the Uwavellasa. We should be afraid of it. The flaming torch will shine a light on the entire country. But before that, we should receive the light from Uwavellasa.
ගිනිසෙලුව මේ රටටම ආලෝකය දේවි. ඊට කලින් අපි උවවෙල්ලස්සට ආලෝකය ලබා ගමු.
The BBC Sandesha questioned parliamentarian Udit Lokubandara on distributing goods among the public during election period. This is the response that he gave.
අපි අද ගමට එන්නේ කොහොමද? අපි පාර හදලා දුන්නා. අපි ලයිට් ටික දුන්නා.
Before coming to the villages, we gave you roads, electricity. We built Mahindodaya schools. We did work. We need to give our children a proper future. Our boys and girls need to win the world. If Lokubandara from Yahalabad can become the Speaker of Parliament, then why can't this child become the President? Why are we blocking his path? The houses were affected by the winds. Yes, the government will help. Venerable Tero, I have instructed to provide roofing sheets to all houses that were affected by 12 noon.
There's an allegation that even though the UPFA claims to have worked for the public, they provide election bribes to the public. This was reported during a previous elections as well. They allege that this is being done to obtain votes. If you have really done work, then why is this necessary?
මේක අපි අලුත් දෙන්නේ නේද මං ඇවිල්ලා ඉතින් අපි බොහොම සතුටුයි අපි හිත සතුටෙන් කරන දේ මේ වෙනසක් තියෙනවා අනිත් පක්ෂත් එක ගත්තාම ශ්‍රී ලංකා දස්පක්ෂය කියන්නේ මේ සංගීත ප්‍රසංග ගාලා එක එක මිනිස්සුන්ට සල්ලි දීලා අරක්කු බොන්න දීලා ඒ විදිහට වියදම් කරන්නේ නැහැ ඉතින් අපේ තියෙන වෙනස තමයි අපි මේ මිනිස්සු දැන් මේ මිනිස්සුන්ට අරක්කු බෝතලයක් දෙන්න පුළුවන් රුපියල් 1000යි මං හොයලා බැලුවා සමහරක් කට්ටිය රුපියල් 1000ක් දෙනවා අරක්කු බෝතලයක් ගන්න කියලා සමහරක් කට්ටිය බල්ක් එකට අරක්කු අරගෙන එතකොට 800ට විතර ගන්න පුළුවන් කියලා ඩිස්කවුන්ට් බෝතලේ අතර දෙනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් සමහරක් තව කට්ටිය ඉන්නවා ඒගොල්ලෝ කරන්නේ තමන්ගේ ස්ටිකර් එක අලෝ ගන්න කියලා ඒ 3 wheeler අලෝ ගන්න 3 wheel tire තුනක් දෙනවා. ඒ විදිහට කරනවා. ඉතින් අපි ඒක විශ්වාස කරන්නේ. අපි ඒ දේශපාලනයෙන් අපි ඉන්නේ එහාට ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා.
Deputy Minister of Economic Development Muthu Sivalingam made the following remarks on this evening's accident in Bandaravilla, which killed 1 person and injured 24 others, including UPFA UAPC candidate Senthil Thondaman.
The accident occurred when Sendil was returning to the Bandaraville town following election campaigning. I do not, however, see this as an accident. His driver has caused this accident deliberately. This is a conspiracy. He has worked with several people prior to this and is now working with Sendil as an additional secretary. I see this as a contract given to him to assassinate Sendil for money. This may have been planned since elections were announced. The police investigation will reveal all.
Now, according to the police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohana, the accident had taken place while the candidate was engaging in election propaganda activities. Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohana noted that the driver connected to the accident had fled the location, adding that investigations have been launched to arrest him. He noted that it is still too early to say whether foul play was involved.
Well, now moving on to one of our headline-making stories, the Ceylon Electricity Board notes that it will take about 2 weeks to come up with a process of creating electricity bills to reflect the reduction in prices. The chairman of the CEB, WB Ganegala, notes that the 25% reduction in electricity tariffs came into effect yesterday, adding that this relief will be provided to consumers in the coming weeks.
The Treasury issued a Gazette notification on the reduction in prices. We will receive a circular based on this through the Public Utilities Commission. Based on this, we will create a new chart for meter readers and how they should charge consumers. The people who receive the electricity bill today will have the same price. This will continue for 2 weeks. However, we will reduce this amount from your next bill.
The current domestic electricity bill consists of a charge for a unit of electricity, the fuel adjustment charge and the fixed charge.
The existing bill has a number of charges. A 25% reduction will be given from the entire bill. There is no need to worry whether this reduction comes from the fixed charge, the electricity charge or the fuel surcharge.
According to the current system, a house which consumes 100 units of electricity will see their electricity tariff being slashed by 507 rupees and 50 cents.
Today marks the 150th birth anniversary of late Anagarika Dharmapala, a man who rendered an immeasurable service to Sri Lankan society.
A commemorative event was held at the Mahabodhi Agra Shravaka Mahavihara in Colombo today in view of the 150th birth anniversary of Anagarika Dharmapala. The event was organized on the initiative of the Sri Lanka Mahabodhi Society. The commemorative event commenced with floral tributes being paid to the statue of Anagarika Dharmapala. The event, which saw the participation of multi-faith religious leaders, was also attended by a special delegation including senior Japanese parliamentarian Antonio Inoki. The Indian High Commissioner in Sri Lanka, Y.K. Singha, and several politicians also graced the occasion. The event was made colourful with several cultural performances.
If Anagarika Dharmapala was with us today, he would be truly happy. Anagarika Dharmapala was not a communalist. He was a person who worked for the benefit of all living beings on this planet. The Citizen Media Network and the Capital Maharaja organization took the vehicle used by Anagarika Dharmapala all across Sri Lanka and gave the new generation an opportunity to witness his artifacts firsthand. They brought about a revival in Buddhism.
It is a matter of great satisfaction today that in the spirit of the deep-rooted cultural affinities that India and Sri Lanka share, we are jointly celebrating the 150th birth anniversary of Anagarika Dharmapala. In view of these close civilizational links between India and Sri Lanka and Anagarika Dharmapala's role in preserving India's Buddhist heritage, I am happy to announce that the Honorable President of India will be releasing a commemorative stamp in honor of Anagarika Dharmapala shortly in New Delhi.
Commemorative plaques were presented at the occasion to persons who had contributed in taking the vision of Anagarika Dharmapala across the country. A special token of appreciation was presented to Chairman of the Capital Maharaja Organization Limited, Mr. R. Rajamahendran. Tokens of appreciation were also presented to senior Japanese parliamentarian Antonio Inoki, Kuso Hatoni, Ichinakawa Masaya and Hemamala Veerasekara. Venerable Banagala Upathisatera also presented a sacred relic to the visiting delegation.
Still in local news, speaking in Parliament recently, UNP parliamentarian Dr. Harsha De Silva posed questions regarding the granting of lands to foreign investors.
First, answer this. How much tax was paid when the 2-acre plot of land belonging to the Lee Hedges company was sold to the Nice VV Hotel? You said something about 2 routes when the 2-acre plot of land was purchased. Can you please tell me how much tax the government charged?
පඩතට කලින් බදු සහනයට තමයි මේ ඉඩම ගත්තේ. බොරු කියන්න එපා කරුවා. 2008 කලින්
Do not lie, Minister. It was sold on the 26th of September 2013. It was sold by the company known as Lee Hedges. Approval from the shareholders was obtained on the 26th of September 2013. Where is the 100% tax? Tell us when you charged the tax on the 99-year lease. Tell us. It is a UDA land, isn't it? Who paid the tax, Minister? When was it paid? When was the remainder paid? When was the 54 purchase bought? That was the section that belonged to the UDA and Lee Hedges. Lee Hedges' portion was about 180 purchase. When did you give the 54 purchase belonging to the UDA?
Lee Hedges කැල්ල purchase 180 ගානක් ඊළඟට UDA කැල්ල purchase 54ක් කවදද දුන්නේ? මේ ඉඩමේ කොටසක් නඩුවක ඔබතුමා
I explained it to the parliament clearly and you were not here.
ඔබතුමා හිටියේ නැහැ. මම කිව්වා මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ ලොබි එකේ ඔබතුමාගේ කතාව මම දැක්කා.
I saw that you had spoken in the Parliament lobby. The shareholders' agreement in the Lee Hedges company was struck in September 2013. Honourable Minister, Honourable Chair, this is a total fraud. They come here and tell us that there is transparency. If this is not the truth, then it is an erroneous story. If you can, tell us that this did not happen in 2013.
සාවද්ද කතාවක් කියන්නේ. ඔබතුමාට පුළුවන් නම් කියන්න මේක 2013 නෙවෙයි කියලා දුන්නේ. මේක දුන්නේ 2013. 2013 ජනවාරි 1 වෙනිදාන් පස්සේ සුද්දොන්ටවත් කහ කට්ටියටවත් විකුණන්න බෑ බදු දෙන්න බෑ කියලා තියෙනවා. බදු දෙන්න පුළුවන් හැබැයි
It can be given, but 15% of the full amount must be paid up front. Was the upfront payment made? No. If you can, tell us that this is not a program that deceives the people.
ජනතාව මුලා කිරීමේ වැඩපිළිවෙලක් කියලා පුළුවන් නම් නැහැ කියලා කියන්නේ. විශේෂ වූ ආයෝජනයක් සඳහා විශේෂ ඇමතිවරයා
You know that any decision can be made for special investments by Cabinet on the recommendation of the subject minister and the Minister of Finance. You are saying this while being well aware.
Honourable Minister, I understand, but then you go before the country and say that not an inch of the country's land will be sold. Now you are standing here and saying it can be sold if Cabinet decides so. This is an astounding story. This is an amazing law. Is this the law? Do not lie to the country. Tell the country the truth. This is what I ask of you.
The Friday Forum, a group of concerned citizens comprising members of civil society and intellectuals, says that it is patently impossible for Parliament and the judiciary to exert any meaningful check on the inevitable excesses to be expected of the executive. Issuing a statement today, the Friday Forum noted that the corrosive effects of the 18th Amendment on the judiciary and the law enforcement authorities are plainly evident, just as predicted by concerned citizens well before it was passed. The Friday Forum notes that a rather obvious lack of commitment to help solve such high-profile public crimes such as the killing of Lakshman Kadiragama, Lasantha Vikramatunga, the Muthu Red workers, the Trincomalee students, dozens of journalists and others rudely disheartens citizens. The Friday Forum claims that the real position in these cases is hidden in a fog of half-truths and outright misinformation. Furthermore, the organization questions as to why the reported detection a few months ago of a massive haul of 260 kilograms of heroin was apparently not merited any serious follow-ups.
And up next is Newsline.
Dr. Pakeso Disarvanmuthu, let's cut straight to the chase. Who should be held responsible for promoting democracy and good governance in the country?
We are all responsible for promoting governance, democracy, human rights in this country. But the primary responsibility rests with the government of the day. You say it rests with the government of the day, but don't you, as a part of civil society, also have a responsibility, a large responsibility in promoting these ideals amongst the community at large?
Absolutely. We have a great responsibility, but I think the largest responsibility is in a democratic society to the government. It is elected to do precisely that.
Let's take a look at Sri Lanka. On the face of it, everything seems quite fine. The Chinese president is here. We've seen some major state leaders visit the country. Development seems to be happening quite fine. And there are sections of society who would say that this is all just fine. Why do we need to worry about all these other things? Why?
Well, I think there are sections of society who think that everything is fine is because they are not directly affected by it. Secondly, they say things are fine because that provides an alibi for not doing anything about it. This is largely a middle and upper middle class who are quite frankly in the exit lounge. All they are concerned about is earning enough money to send their children abroad and hope that their children will stay outside and that they too will be able to go outside. Do they really belong to Sri Lanka? Do they really feel that they have a real stake in this country is the question.
In which case, Dr. Saravanamuthu, do you really belong to Sri Lanka? Can you, at the CPA, reach out to the ordinary Sri Lankan and get your message?
Well, we've been in existence for the last 18 years, and I think in those 18 years we have tried very hard to reach out to as many people as possible and done it in the face of challenge. Threats, death threats, abuse practically every week on the state-controlled media and all of that kind of thing. So we try our hardest. It's not enough. And each time there is a setback to governance, and that happens too frequently. There is a great sense of disappointment and failure, but we must not give up.
Sri Lanka has democratic institutions, you can't deny it. We have elections that happen quite regularly, that are deemed to be free and fair by most international observers. So what is the premise for your argument that there is a lack of democracy in the country?
Sri Lanka is a formal functioning democracy. In that you have the formal institutions, but you take
but there aren't any fully functioning democracies in the world.
But there are certain basic mechanisms which have to function appropriately. You say frequent elections. Why on earth should we be having frequent elections? That's not what democracy is about. Democracy is not about frequent elections. We have frequent elections because the elections that we have are not conducted properly. We have all the allegations with regard to the abuse of state resources, with regard to violence, etc. Our elections, the integrity of our electoral system has been challenged and compromised considerably in the last so many years.
Are you saying that the elections department and the police and law enforcement as a whole is incapable of enforcing the duty?
No, I don't think it's incapable. I think it's unwilling.
Unwilling? Why are they unwilling?
Because I think they are concerned about punitive repercussions if they did their job properly.
The launch of the 25th anniversary of the Convention of the Human Rights of the Child, titled CRC at 25, took place in Colombo last evening.
The star-studded event with cricketer Mahela Jayawardena, singer Neela Wickramasinghe and actress Pooja Umashankar along with other partners including a cappella group Voice Wind made a pledge to promote children's rights at the event.
We can't ignore the voices of children because not only do they recognise what's been done, they recognise the problems, they also very often know what the solutions are. And as we move forward at UNICEF with the government, with all of you, to make the celebration of the Convention on the Rights of the Child a real celebration in Sri Lanka, and as we move towards the 20th of November, I hope that we will all enter into a debate about what's worked and what still needs to be done for children in the country.
This is something that we all should be involved in. Even though we've achieved so much over the years, but there's definitely room for improvement. I think as a professional cricketer, how much you achieve, we always feel that there's a little bit more that we can do. Rights is something that we all should be proud of because we're fighting for their education, we're fighting for their health, we're fighting for their enjoyment, we're fighting for them to grow up to be better human beings. We're fighting for them to enjoy life.
A function was held in Colombo yesterday to ink the second memorandum of understanding between the University of Chinese Academy of Sciences and the University of Sri Lanka. The MOU is aimed at enhancing the long-standing scientific and educational cooperation between the two universities.
The MOU was signed by the Executive Vice President of the Chinese Academy of Sciences and the Vice Chancellor of the University of Sri Lanka. Professor Ranil De Silva, representing the world-class university project of USJP, and Shen Min, the director of the cultural division of the Chinese Embassy in Sri Lanka, were present as witnesses.
The University of Chinese Academy of Science now consists of more than 100 institutes around the whole countries. So we have more than 40,000 graduate students. From this year, we will have the undergraduate students. So we also have several programs for international cooperations, so which include the CAS, Chinese Academy of Science, and TWAS, the Third World Academy of Science President Fellowship.
We want to create a lot of opportunities for Sri Lankan young, especially students, those who are entering into the university system, to create an environment under which they enabling them to achieve their goals and aspirations. Finally, helping them to create a developed Sri Lanka. That is why, Professor, we are trying our best to expand our relationships with foreign countries.
Captain of the Sri Lankan cricket team that will represent Sri Lanka at the Asian Games, Lahiru Thirimana, says that Bangladesh could pose a challenge to the team.
The Sri Lankan team that will take part in the Games will leave for South Korea on the 23rd.
National players Vipul Taranga, Dinesh Chandimal, Dilhar Lokohettige, Jeevan Mendes, Isure Udana and Ashan Priyanjan have been included in the squad. Janda Semiratna has been named as the manager of the team, while Ramesh Kalvitana will serve as the team's coach. Champaga Ramanayaka will be in charge of the pace bowling department of the Lankan team and will accompany them to South Korea. The cricket event of the Asian Games will first have a preliminary stage under two groups. Sri Lanka, Hong Kong, Afghanistan and Bangladesh will enter games on the 30th from the quarter-final stage. India has not forwarded a team for the Asian Games. The 17th Asian Games Flame reached South Korea today. The Flame commenced its journey from New Delhi, India and reached Incheon today after touring 17 cities of the host nation.
With that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Minoshi Ratnasekara.
And I'm Shaheen Jurangpadi. Good night and take care.